to the library. I hope you've been enjoying your summer break. Maybe you've gotten to go play outside some more. Maybe you've gotten to spend more time with your pet. Well, today's program, we're going to be talking about dogs. Dogs are one of my favorite types of pets. I got two of them here. I got Shepherd and I got Spot. And we're going to talk about how loyal and kind and forgiving dogs are. And let's get started. Here we go. So Rover likes to sit in chairs rather than on the floor. Has someone ever sat in your favorite chair? You weren't happy about it, right? And even when you asked nicely, they still didn't move, huh? What do you do? Well, that's what happened in our poem today. And we're about to find out what one little girl did when Rover sat in her chair and refused to move. And the poem is called Get Out of My Chair by Kathy Schultz. And it goes like this. Get out of my chair, go on your way. Get out of my chair, you cannot stay. Get out of my chair, I'm telling you. Get out of my chair, I'll count to 2. Get out of my chair, you must get down. Get out of my chair, you little clown. Get out of my chair. Now listen, Rover. Get out of my chair, or maybe just scoot over. Uh-oh. It didn't seem like she was too happy to find Rover sitting in her chair. And she definitely didn't handle it right at first. She was being kind of mean, huh? But then she realized that there was enough room in the chair for both of them. And look how happy they are now that they're sharing. The little girl even decided to read Rover her book. And he seems to be enjoying the story. What are some other ways she could have handled the situation? Could she have found another chair to sit in? Or maybe, could she have asked more nicely? Even when something belongs to us, we should always be kind when trying to get it back. I know, it's frustrating when somebody takes our stuff. And sometimes we get so mad that we don't want to be their friend anymore. And we may struggle to forgive them. But we need to forgive them because sometimes we are the ones that take something that doesn't belong to us. And then we pretend we didn't do it. Uh-oh. We may not have meant to upset them. It just may have been something we really wanted. And they had. But our friends get so mad at us that they don't want to play with us anymore. So, what should we do? How do we make things right? That's what we're going to find out in our book, Albert and Sarah Jane, by Malachy Doyle. Albert and Sarah Jane were the very best of friends. Their favorite thing to do was curl up in a great big cat-dog cuddle by the fire. But there was one thing Albert liked even better than that. And that was eating his yummy, scrummy crunchies from his big blue bowl. And there was one thing he liked even better than that. That was eating Sarah Jane's even yummier, scrummier fishy nibbles. He'd steal one or two from her little red bowl when his friend wasn't looking. They always tasted much better than his own. But one morning while Sarah Jane was out and about, Albert got a little too carried away with his nibbling. Uh-oh. When his friend came back in from the yard, she was all ready for breakfast. But there wasn't a speck of food left in her little red bowl. When Sarah Jane looked to see if there was anything in Albert's big blue bowl, she found that not a speck of food was there either. Oh. She went to ask Albert why there wasn't any food to eat, but he was fast asleep in his basket. That's odd, she thought. I'm sure he's fatter than usual. And I'm sure he smells all fishy, too. You've been eating my food, you naughty dog, hissed Sarah Jane, arching her back. But Albert just ignored her and snored on. Shh. "Okay," said Sarah Jane. "I've had enough of this." She turned around and marched right out of the house. Albert opened one eye and saw Sarah Jane leaving through the pet door. She'd be back, he thought. She always comes back. Wonder if she's coming back this time. But Sarah Jane didn't come back. She went to live next door instead. By that evening, Albert was lonely. By the next morning, he was howling at the pet door. "Come home, Sarah Jane," he cried. "I miss you." Albert spotted Sarah Jane through the upstairs window. He smiled at her in a doggy sort of way, but Sarah Jane just ignored him. So Albert sneaked out the house, went next door, and sat himself down at the doorstep howling. "Come home, Sarah Jane," he cried. "I miss you." "Stop howling, you naughty dog," she hissed, coming down to see what all the fuss was about. "But I'm sad and lonely," said Albert. "I want a great big cat-dog cuddle by the fire." "Well, the food is better over here and nobody steals it," said Sarah Jane. "But it's lonely here too, without a big, smelly lump of a dog to snuggle up to." "Me?" asked Albert. "Yes, you," said Sarah Jane. "Do you miss me too?" asked Albert. "I do," said Sarah Jane. "Well, I'm sorry," said Albert. "What for?" asked Sarah Jane. "For gobbling up all your fishy nibbles," said Albert. "Will you do it again?" "I won't." "Will you even nibble them?" "I won't." "Good," said Sarah Jane. So she marched back home, and Albert marched back home behind her. They had a little nibble from their red and blue bowls, and then they curled up in a great big cat-dog cuddle by the fire and fell asleep. The end. So Albert ate Sarah Jane's food, leaving her hungry and sad. That wasn't nice of him at all. She even tried to talk to him about it, but he ignored her, which made her even madder than she was before, and she left. But even though their friendship broke up for a little while, and Sarah Jane moved to another house, Albert finally did the right thing by finding her and apologizing. He said he's sorry and promised he'd never take her food again. And Sarah Jane forgave him, and their friendship was fixed. In this story, Rover tries to be considerate of his friends and show them kindness, but things start to get a little out of hand, and well, let's see what happens in our next story, Move Over Rover, by Karen Beaumont. Rover's in the doghouse chewing on a bone. What a day to romp and play, too bad that he's alone. Oh my, look at the sky, thunder and lightning, mighty frightening. Rain is pouring, oh how boring. Rover's in the doghouse sleeping through the storm. Cat is looking all around to find a place that's warm. Move over, Rover. Cat is in the doghouse sleeping through the storm. Raccoon is looking all around to find a place that's warm. Skit scat cat, move over, Rover. Raccoon is in the doghouse sleeping through the storm. Squirrel is looking all around to find a place that's warm. Make room, Raccoon. Skit scat cat, move over, Rover. Squirrel is in the doghouse sleeping through the storm. Blue Jay is looking all around to find a place that's warm. Squeeze in, Squirrel. Make room, Raccoon. Skit scat cat, Move over, Rover. Blue Jay is in the doghouse sleeping through the storm. Snake is looking all around to find a place that's warm. Out of the way, Blue Jay. Squeeze in, squirrel. Make room, raccoon. Skit, scat, cat. Move over, Rover. Snake is in the doghouse sleeping through the storm. Mouse is looking all around to find a place that's warm. Slide in, Snake. Out of the way, Blue Jay. Squeeze in, squirrel. Make room, raccoon. Skit, scat, cat. Move over, Rover. Uh-oh. Tight fit, might split. Sorry, mouse. Full house. Aw, poor mouse. Crowded in the doghouse, all are sleeping well, but then, sniff, sniff, catch a whiff. What's that awful smell? Ew, what? Skitter, scatter, what's the matter? Scutter, scurry, what's the hurry? I wonder who's in the doghouse now. Who could it be? Skunk is in the doghouse sleeping through the storm. The rest are racing around to find another place that's warm. But oh my, look at the sky. Storm is over, but where is Rover? Is he romping, racing, jumping, chasing? No! Rover's in the doghouse chewing on a bone. Soaking, sopping, tail flip flopping, happy he's alone. So in the end, Rover was just glad to have his house to himself again. Having friends over was fun, but sometimes it's nice to have your own space. See, Rover was kind enough to let his friends stay warm and dry in his home until the storm passed, but the doghouse started to get a little too crowded. So once the storm was over, he stayed in his doghouse enjoying some peace and quiet while the others went out and played. Since we've been talking about dogs so much, I thought it would be fun to pretend to be one. So what are some things you think about when you think about a dog? I think about their nose. What else? How about their ears? Or maybe, do you think about their tail? Yep. So we're going to do a song, and it's going to be to the music of The Wheels on the Bus Go Round, and it's going to be about the parts of a dog that we think about, like the ears and all. So we're going to go over all of the motions, and then we're going to hop right into it. So the first line goes, the nose on the dog goes sniff, sniff, sniff. So we're going to pretend like we're sniffing around. The next one is going to be, the ears on the dog go flop, flop, flop. And then the final one is going to be, the tail on the dog goes swish, swish, swish. Alright, so y'all ready? Here it goes. The nose on the dog goes sniff, 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 sniff. The nose on the dog goes sniff, sniff, sniff. Dog starts with D. The ears on the dog go flop, 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 flop. The ears on the dog go flop, flop, flop. Dog starts with D. The tail on the dog goes wag, 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 wag. The tail on the dog goes wag, wag, wag. Dog starts with D. Wow! Y'all did really good at pretending to be dogs. So, dogs can teach us a lot about loyalty, forgiveness, and being good friends. We're not always going to get along with our friends. Sometimes we'll disagree. And sometimes we'll even get in fights. But it's important to forgive and make things right. Well, that's all we have for our program today. So I hope you enjoyed it and see you next time. Bye!